v times w, the dot product of v times w. It's going to be negative 1/3, comma negative 4 over 5, dot 1/3, comma negative 5 over 8. So the dot product is not your usual multiplication. Okay, it takes the first components, multiplies them, and then you have to add the second components being multiplied. So it's gonna be negative 1/3 times 1/3 plus negative 4 over 5 times negative 5 over 8. Okay, and then you just multiply these. What's negative 1/3 times 1/3? So how do we multiply fractions? Not cross, across. So you multiply negative 1 times 1 and 3 times 3. What's negative 1 times 1? Negative 1 times 1? Negative 1. And what's 3 times 3? Exactly. Now, what's negative 4 times negative 5? Keep going. Say it again. You can simplify it. 20 over 40 is just 1/2, right? Now, to add these two fractions, we need a common denominator. What's the common denominator between negative 9? I mean, not negative 9. 9 and positive 2. 18. So what would I need to multiply this fraction to get 18? 9 by 2 and 2 by 9. Exactly. So it's going to be negative 2 over 18 plus 9 over 18. Now that we have a common denominator, we can add the numerators. What's negative 2 plus 9? 7. Exactly. And that's your answer. Okay. Does it want? So it wants v times w, v times v, and w times w. So we're not done with that problem. Okay. So now we need to find v times v dot product. So it's gonna be negative 1/3, comma negative 4 over 5 with. Oops, I forgot to write the negative. Negative 1/3, comma negative 4 over 5. Okay. So just like the previous one, what will be the first step for this problem? Multiply what? So right now we're doing the dot product of v times v. So we have this vector dot this vector. Remember, the dot product is you take the first component, you multiply with the first component, then you add the second component multiplied by the second component. So negative 1/3 times negative 1/3. That will be the first multiplication. And then you do the same thing with the second component. So negative 4 over 5 times negative 4 over 5. Okay? So now you have negative 1/3 times negative 1/3. What's that equal to? Very good. And then what's negative 4 over 5 times negative 4 over 5? 40 over 40, or 1 4. I mean 1/2. Wait, 20, not 20 over 40. What's 4 times 4? 16. And what's 5 times 5? 25. There you go. Okay, and now we need a common denominator. So what will be the common denominator between 9 and 25. Well, if you don't know by the top of your head, just multiply the two. What's 9 times 25? 225. That will be the common denominator between these two. So I need to multiply the top by what? To get 225, I need to multiply 9 by 25, and I need to multiply 25 by 9. So I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 25. 25 times 1 is 25. 25 times 9 is 225. What's 9 times 16?
144.
Perfect. Now what's 144 plus 25? 25 plus 144.
169.
169. Perfect. And then for W, we're going to do the same thing. W times W. So it's going to be positive 1/3, negative 5/8. Okay. So now we multiply. What are we multiplying to find this dot product?
1/3 times 1/3.
Perfect. Very good. And then plus, what's the next multiplication?
Negative 5/8. Times negative 5/8.
Amazing. Okay. Now what's 1/3 times 1/3?
1/9.
Perfect. And then what's negative 5/8 times negative 5/8?
25/64.
Perfect. Now we need a common denominator. What's gonna be the common denominator between 9 and 64? Or what's 9 times 64, in other words?
576.
Exactly. So it's gonna be 64 over 576 plus 25 times 9. What's 25 times 9 again?
25 times 9 is 225.
Perfect. So what's 225 plus 64?
225 plus 64. 289.
Beautiful. And that will be your answer for C of 10. That will be you. Excellent.
Pull the page up a bit.
Scroll up.
Yeah, just a bit.
More.
That's good right there.
Okay. It's Sheridan, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was. At first, I thought I was gonna be tutoring Mary today, and then I was like, I recognize this voice. How are you, Sheridan? It's been a while.
Yeah, I know.
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. How's Utah?
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah? Oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Vegas is a little bit dead right now.
I know, that's how we haven't come back yet.
Yeah. Hopefully it goes back to normal soon. Okay, were you able to finish writing what you needed to write?
Yeah, no, I'm on a few times. So thank you.
Okay. Okay. Just take your time. Let me know when you need to scroll down. Of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Let's continue.
Number 6.
Number 16, it says, use the dot product to find the magnitude of the vector. So let's go back to the formula. How do we use the dot product to find the magnitude? This, where is it? Okay, that's the angle. Oh, there it is. So to find the magnitude, we have to take, so we have that the dot product equals the magnitude of the vector squared. Okay. So to find the magnitude of the vector, we just take the square root of the dot product. Okay. So that's what we're gonna use. Let me go back to the question real quick. So you said 13? 16, okay. So in this case, W equals the vector negative 18, comma 3, okay? So the dot product between them, between itself, well, how do we find the dot product between these two?
Multiply.
What are we multiplying?
Negative 18 times negative 18.
Excellent. Well, and then what's the next step? Just keep going.
3 times 3.
3 times 3, and then what's in the middle?
An
An addition. Very good. Okay, and then what's 18 times 18?
324.
324. Very good. So 324 plus 3 times. Very good. And what's 324 plus 9?
324 plus 9 is 333.
Excellent. And we need to find the square root to find the magnitude. So the magnitude of W is going to be the square root of 333. Square root of 333 is just 3 square root of 37. Okay. What's the next problem? Are you still writing?
I'm almost.
Okay.
Okay. Number 24.
24.
22.
22 or 24?
22.
Okay. So it says indicate to perform the blah blah blah. So 22 is W times W. Okay, W is 0.6. It's going to be 0.6 times 0.6. Okay, so dot product with this. How do I start?
You multiply 0 times 0 and 6 by 6.
And what's in the middle?
And addition sign.
Excellent. What's 0 times 0?
0.
Plus, what's 6 times 6?
36.
Okay, and that's all for 22.
Okay, now we're
24. Okay, so it's gonna be U times W times V. Okay, and then here we have So it's going to be, they should have specified if it's a dot product, but let's assume it is. So it's going to be negative, oops, let me use the vector notation. So negative 4 comma 1 dot product with w, which is 0 times 6, 0, 6, and dot product with v, which is 5, negative 2. Okay, so let's start in the, oh, I see why, okay, that's not true. It's not a dot product because this is not going to give you a vector. It's going to give you a constant, okay? So this is constant multiplication on the outside with this vector. Here it is a dot product, but here it's just a constant. Okay, that makes sense. So now, what would be the multiplication of these two vectors?
4 times, negative 4 times 0 and 1 times 6.
And what's in the middle?
An addition sign.
Exactly. So now what's negative 4 times 0?
0.
What's 1 times 6?
6.
So you're left with 6 times the vector 5, negative 2. Now, when you multiply a number by the vector, you're going to multiply that number by each component. So it's going to be 6 times 5, comma, negative 2 times 6. Okay? So you're multiplying by both. And now what's 6 times 5?
6 and 5, 30.
And what's negative 2 times 6?
Negative 12.
And that's your answer.
Okay. Number 36.
Number 36. Okay, it says find the angle theta between V and W. If necessary, round to the nearest tenth of a degree. So 36 says V equals, I like this notation better. This just makes sense to me. I don't like the other one. It's just confusing. Okay, so now we go back to the formula to find the angle. It's over here. Okay, it says to find the angle between two vectors, you find theta equals the cosine inverse of the dot product of V times W over the magnitude of V times the magnitude of W. Okay, so now we can go back to the questions. So now we need to find first the dot product of V times W. So V dot W is going to be 12, negative 5, dot negative 3, comma negative 4. How do I find this?
You multiply 12 times negative 3 and negative 5 by negative 4.
And what's in the middle?
An addition sign.
Beautiful. Okay, so what's 12 times negative 3?
12 times negative 3 is negative 36.
Negative 36. And negative 5 times negative 4.
20.
What's negative 36 plus 20?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. Okay. And now we need to find the magnitude of V. So the magnitude of V, we can do it the old school way, which is the square root of the component squares. So V is 12 negative 5, so it's going to be 12 squared plus negative 5 squared. Okay. What is 12 squared equal to?
20. No, 144.
144, very good. And what's 5 squared? Beautiful. And what's square root of 144 plus 25?
That's 196.
169.
169.
And what's the square root of 169?
13.
There you go. Okay. And now we're going to find the magnitude of W. So it's going to be, if W is negative 3, comma negative 4, what do I need to plug in here to find the magnitude?
Negative 3, negative 4.
How are we going to plug it in inside the square root?
Parentheses, negative 3 squared.
Very good.
Plus
Yep.
parentheses, negative 4 squared.
Excellent. Good job. So now it's going to be 9 plus 16. What's the square root of 9 plus 16? What's 9 plus 16 equal to?
9 plus 16. 25.
Excellent. What's the square root of 25?
5.
5. Okay, so now we have v times w, which is negative 16. We have the magnitude of v, which is 13. We have the magnitude of 5, which is 5. Now we're going to plug it into this equation here. So we have all those values here. So we're going to plug in negative 16 for the top part and then 13 times 5 for the bottom part. So theta is going to be equal to cosine inverse of negative 16 divided by 5 times 13. Okay? So cosine inverse of negative 16 over 5 times 13. What's 5 times 13?
5 times 13 is 65.
Excellent. So now I want you to calculate this in your calculator. So you're going to go second cosine for cosine inverse. So second cosine, make sure you're in degrees. Negative 16 divided by 65. Well, I want you to give me that number.
So inverse cosine.
Inverse cosine of negative 16 divided by 65. How much is that?
16 divided by 5 times 13.
Yep. Bless you. Okay, so what do you got?
104.25.
104.25. Now, since we need to round to the nearest tenth, was it? So it's going to be 104.3 degrees. Okay, so what's the next one?
Right.
44. Let's do this. So we got determine if the given vectors are orthogonal, parallel, or neither. Okay. So to do that, we would need to use another equation. So let's go back to the equations. Okay, so it says if if the dot product is 0, then we say that V and W are orthogonal. Okay, and then what's the other parallel? So if they're, how can we know it's parallel? Where is it? Oh, there it is. So they're parallel if V equals C times W for some real number C. So if the angle between them is either 0 or 180, then the vectors are parallel. So if V times W equals, let me just write all of that because it's important. So we have orthogonality if this is true. So this is true. If V times W is 0, they're orthogonal. Okay. And then if V times W equals the magnitude of V times the magnitude of W, or V times W equals negative the magnitude of V times the magnitude of W, then we say they're parallel. And if it's not one of these three, then we can't, we say it's neither. Okay, so let's keep going. Whoops. What was the question? Problem 44. Okay. So now that we have this on hand, 44 says that T, let's call it V, just because it's more related to these things. I don't know why they changed the letters. And W. Okay. So let's find the dot product first. So V times W equals, well, negative 6 comma 18 dot 9 comma 3. Okay. So how do we figure this out? What do I need? What would this equal to?
-6 times 9,
Keep going.
18 times plus
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Very good. Okay. And what is negative 6 times 9?
-54.
And then what's 18 times 3? What's negative 54 plus 54?
0.
So it says that if V times W is 0, they are orthogonal. Okay? So that will be the case for this problem, and that will be the answer.
Alright, number 48.
48.
Yep.
So it's gonna be same stuff. Let me use the same letters because I don't like to change them. Negative 3 over 2 comma 2, and W equals 6 negative 8. Okay. Let's find the dot product first. So negative 1/3 comma 2 times 6 comma negative 8. What is that equal to? How do we start this?
Negative 3 over 2 times 6 plus 2 times negative 8.
Excellent, very good. So negative 3 over 2 times 6 is equal to what? What is that equal to?
Negative negative 8.
Negative 18 over 2, yes. What is negative 18 divided by 2?
9, -9.
Negative 9, very good. And then what's 2 times negative 8?
-16.
What's negative 9 minus 16?
-9 minus -16 is 7.
Two negatives means you owe more. So what would that be equal to?
-7.
Wait. So negative 9 minus 16. If you owe.
-9.
Uh-huh.
-25.
Very good. Negative 25 is correct. Okay. So now we need to figure out if it's not orthogonal because it's not equal to 0. Now we need to figure out if it's parallel. So we need to find the magnitude of v and the magnitude of w. So let's start with the magnitude of v. Okay. How do I calculate the magnitude of v?
It would be -3/2 squared plus 2.
Excellent. Okay. Now what's negative 3 over 2 squared? What is negative 3 over 2 times negative 3 over 2?
9/4.
Beautiful. And what's 2 times 2?
4.
Excellent. Now we need a common denominator between these two. What is common denominator between 4 over 1 and 9 over 4? What's the common denominator?
4.
4. So it's going to be 9 over 4 plus 16 over 4. Very good. What's 9 plus 16?
9 plus 16 equals 25.
25 over 4. What's the square root of 25 over 4?
5/2.
5 over 2. Very good. So now let's find the magnitude of w. Okay, so w is 6 and negative 8. So let's find the magnitude of w. So if it's 6, negative 8, how do I find the magnitude of w if it's 6 comma negative 8? Excellent. So then what's 6 squared?
36.
36 is correct. What's negative 8 squared?
64.
What's 36 plus 64?
100.
This is the square root of 100.
The root of 100 is 10.
10. Okay. So now we need to multiply the magnitude of v times the magnitude of w. The magnitude of v is 5 over 2. The magnitude of w is 10. So what is that multiplication equal to? 50 over 2, because you don't multiply the 2. Oops. What's 50 divided by 2?
50 divided by 2 is 25.
25. Now, we found that the dot product equals negative 25, and we found that the multiplication of the magnitude is 25. Therefore, this is true, right? The 25 equals negative 25. That means they're parallel. Okay, so these two vectors are parallel. No problem. Where at? Here? Right there. Yes.
Can you spell that again?
Yes.
I'll do that.
All right. What's the next one?
56.
56. Okay. So before I read this example, I need to know what the formulas are because these are a lot of formulas in this problem. It says computing work is gonna be equal to, so W equals the magnitude of F times the magnitude of D times cosine of theta. Okay, and then what else do we need? Um, Let me see what else. Do we need anything else? Probably. Okay. Decomposition of vector and orthogonal vectors. So this is the projecting vector W in terms of V is V times W over the magnitude of W squared times whatever you get times W. Then V1 equals the project V, and then V2 is V minus V1. Okay. So F2, F1, 10, 10, -5, okay. Okay. Yeah, word problems are not my strongest, so let's see. You said it was 56?
Yeah.
Says a forklift is used to offload freight from a delivery truck. Together, the forklift and its contents weigh 100 pounds, and the weight is evenly distributed among four wheels. The ramp is inclined 14 degrees from the horizontal. Write the force vector F in terms of I and J, representing the weight against a single tire. So that vector F is just going to be negative 800 degrees. Not degrees, pounds. And then since it's down, it's the J component, okay? So that's usually how you write it, or if you want to put a dot there, that's fine. Another way to write this is 0, comma, negative 800. I prefer this way because it's more similar to the vectors that we've been working with, okay? But that's basically what they want you to write. And then it says find a component vector F parallel to the ramp, round values to one decimal place. So the component with the f parallel to the ramp is f1. Okay, so that's where we're gonna have to use the projection. Let me go back to that example to verify which one is projecting to what. So it's because this one has a similar process. So it's negative 500, and then so u equals to be the unit vector of direction of the hill. Okay, so first we need to find the unit vector, okay, which is u in this case is gonna be the cosine of the angle, so theta comma sine of theta. And once we find the u vector, we find f1 to be the projection of u on f, which is going to be f dot u over the magnitude of u squared and whatever you get from that times u. Okay, so that will be the f parallel to u, and then for, I'm guessing we'll have to find the work done or something else after that, but let's find that first. Okay, so find that. So what is so it's 14 degrees. So that's what we're gonna use to find u. Okay, so u, the unit vector u, it's gonna be cosine of 14 degrees, oops, comma, sine of 14 degrees. Okay, and then it says round to the round values to the nearest pound. Okay, and then so go to the calculator and write cosine of 14. What is cosine of 14 there?
0.9702957.263.
So let's just do 2 decimal places is fine. So 0.97 comma, what's sine of 14? Okay, so 0.24. And now we need to find the projection f1. Okay, I mean f1, which is the projection of f in terms of u. So f is 0 comma negative 100. Bless you. Okay, and then the projection of u is going to be equal to, first we need to find the dot product of f and u. So f times u. So it's 0 comma negative 800 times 0.97 comma 0.24. How do we find this dot product? What is it equal to? 0 times 0.97 plus exactly. Okay. So then that's equal to 0 times that is 0. What's negative 800 times 0.24? Negative 192. Exactly. So now that we're divided by the magnitude of u squared. So it's going to be, the magnitude of u squared is just the dot product between u and u. So the magnitude of u squared is just the dot product of u with u. Okay. So what's 0.97 times 0.97?
0.9409.
Okay, and then plus, what's 0.24 times 0.24? Point what?
4 times 0.22?
Yep.
Oh, 0.0576.
So we're going to round it to 0.058. And then what's 0.94 plus 0.058?
0.998.
Very good. So it's 0.998, so it's going to round to 1. Okay. So now the magnitude of u squared is 1, and so it's the dot product of that over 1 times u, and that will be the projection. So it's going to be negative 92 divided by 1 times u, which is this here. So F1 is going to be, so negative 192 divided by 1 times the times u, which is 0.97 over 0.24. Okay, so it's going to be equal to negative 192 times 0.97. What's no, this is a constant times a vector, so you're going to multiply these two by this constant times these two values. What's negative 192 times 0.94? I mean 0.97.
Negative 186.24.
Exactly. Now, since it wants us to round to one decimal place, it's just going to be negative 186.2. And what's negative 192 times 0.24?
Negative 46.8.
And that's your solution for B. Okay. Now, since did I wrote it? Yeah. Okay. So the solution for B is that one. Do you need to write things down so that I can give you some time? And
Yeah,
okay, let me then look for C. It says find the magnitude of the force needed to keep the from running down. Okay, let's see. Okay, perfect. So you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so for C, it says find the magnitude such that it doesn't, basically this question here, find the magnitude of the force required by the brakes on each wheel to keep the truck from rolling down the hill. Okay, so if the force required to move it forward, it's F1, then the force required to stop it is negative F1. So the brake force here is negative F of 1, which is going to be, just multiply negative 1 by this, so it's, by this one, so it's going to be positive 186.2 comma 46.8. And now we need to find the magnitude of that force. So it's going to be F1. So how do we find the magnitude of this vector? Very good. Squared. Wait, was it 46.87? Oh, okay, okay. No problem. No, it's all good. So now what is that equal to? What's 186.2 squared?
4670.44.
So 186.2 squared is 34670.44. So 34670.44. And what's 46.8 squared?
2190.24.
Very good. And let's add those two together. What do we get? Very good. And what's the square root of that number? Very good. And since it wants us to round to the nearest pound, what is it going to be? It's just going to be 192. Okay, and that's all for today. Awesome. Good job today. I'm very proud of you. Keep working really hard. Let me know whenever you need help, okay? Awesome. Bye bye. See you next time.